And we're in business. It took
Yes.
us a while this morning, but we got everything in order. Welcome to Fellowship of Spirit in beautiful Farmington, New Mexico. This is the last Sunday of the month of January, and we're well into the next year. And I don't know how that happened. Last week was Christmas, this week it's end of January. Where does the time go? Anyway, I am Jerry Lard, and I am your host for today. We have a very new speaker to us, so I hope you will enjoy it when we get to him. I don't see any guests other than his lovely wife, Brianna? Yeah, Bree. And I hope that the kids are doing well. We have kids today. And Margaret has our prelude, which is I Believe in Miracles. Thank you, Margaret. Susan Barnes in Belize will be giving our opening prayer.
Oh, this is so wonderful to have new things that are happening up there. Uh, the new screen, the shifting of the podium. So, yeah, I don't know where the time went either, Jerry, but I'm glad it's here. New things, new exciting things. So let's take a deep breath, close our eyes, and feel that fullness, that love. Fill our hearts and our bodies. Creator, Mother, Father, God, we give thanks. We give thanks for this new beginning, for all the wonderful things that you have given to us and that have yet to come. We give thanks for all the opportunities we have to find that it is not obstacles, but the way we perceive things, and that everything leads to greater love, greater relationships, and all of these good things that we can welcome into our lives. We give thanks, Father, for the very life that we have, for our health, for our well-being, for all of the things that you have given us to see, to feel, and to learn from. We give thanks for the children that are in our lives, for their wellness, for the new things that they will discover and that they will help us with to find a new way of looking at things. This is a new year, a new time, a new beginning, and we are truly thankful for all of this. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Susan. We have a song from Margaret. It's 3:15 in your brown book. I live in God's will.
I live in God's way, His truth, His life. I'm free from all doubt, all fear, all strife. My words are of love, of joy and peace. I think of God's good and cannot cease. The power of God is mine to use. He gives me all good that I can choose. I love in His love, in His
Can't see. I think it's this one.
express His God blesses me now.
Am I in the right space?
You want to just pin it, so that'll be a left click.
It says make host.
No, pin.
I can't read it.
Oh, that's my problem.
I'm free to express perfection now. For Christ within me has shown me how. I live in His love, in His truth, and express eternal.
It's over.
Thank you, Margaret. I think I messed up the words. In your brochures, in your little pamphlets, is called the Reflective Moment, if you'll read along with me. Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. And we have a spiritual reading today. That would be Steve.
See if you can pin me. I'll be like this.
No, just sit down, Steve,
Okay.
on the other side.
I'll get humble. How about that?
Okay. I was gonna pull that over, but okay.
Okay. Of course, now I got to be able to read. Okay, this is from Science of Mind Daily Thoughts for today, as a matter of fact, and it's called Face Your Pain. If you want to grow and be free to explore, you cannot spend your life avoiding things that might hurt your heart or mind. And that's from Michael A. Singer from The Untethered Soul. Excuse me. The universe is a perfect individual whole, and healing can take place only when one is unified with it. And that's from Science of Mind. I was in Las Vegas at a coaching conference, and the leader had us approach people on the strip to ask questions. This was hands-on activity for our growth and development. Over the course of 4 days, I kept crying. I didn't understand why, and I was embarrassed. Right in the middle of an exercise, I was overcome by tears. Eventually, I told the leader what was happening, and he kindly explained that I needed to let tears out. He invited me to take time to cry when I got home. His, pardon me in my glasses here. He asked me to allow everything coming up to flow through and out of me. He explained I needed to heal before I could move forward. I needed to give myself time, and not too much time, be cautioned, to grieve. It is common for us to avoid facing the darkness in our own lives. It doesn't feel good, and we innately avoid what makes us uncomfortable. Because we don't admit our pain, it ends up haunting us. You find yourself crying on the strip in Las Vegas for no reason. You become the victim of your own unhealed pain rather than healed soul we came here to be. To heal and to be whole, we must embrace the hurt, allowing it to be what it is. We must present with it, and we must be present with it and let the grief, the addition, loss, whatever it is, to run its course, and then we can release. In addition to healing ourselves, our pain affects us to understand others who are in pain. We become a source of healing and a source of compassion. And the affirmation is, I know and feel my oneness with the universe. I boldly face my darkness and heal. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve.
Next time I'll have better glasses.
Aren't those your new ones?
Yeah, but there's still issues.
That's okay, I'm having issues with me and my sight. Okay, and we have a song from Margaret in the binder. Pass it on.
It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, His greatest love to everyone, you want to pass it on. What a wondrous time is spring, when all the trees are budding. The birds begin to sing, the flowers start their blooming. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you want to sing. It's fresh like spring. You want to pass it on. I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I found. You can depend on Him. It matters not where you're bound. I'll shout it from the mountain tops. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on.
Thank you, Margaret. Would like for you to join me in welcoming Don Cummins. He is our newest member to fellowship, and he's got some great new ideas for us in helping us be a better presence here in Fellowship Sanctuary, and also with our Zoom online, and also a great lot of help with our web page. He's just motivating us to get in all of our directions that we've been kind of putting off this last year, and so I'm very happy to welcome here, and he's going to talk to us about living the miracle.
And is there a label
Oh,
or?
you gotta switch to Carrie.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right.
Got a little friendly there.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, good morning, and I'm so glad to be here. And for anyone who's watching online or will
I
watch,
can't see you.
you can't see me. Someone cannot
No.
see.
Well, because the camera's picking up off of the laptop where Jerry was sitting. Whenever.
Oh, I see.
So then next
The camera that's in front of me, Ron,
It's
is
pinned on.
Steve's
it's pinned
camera.
on Dawn's. I don't know what the problem is. It's pinned on Dawn.
Ask anybody else if they're seeing.
One moment, and we'll get to Steve.
Sorry. Technical difficulties.
Is that better, Ron?
No, I can't see him at all.
Huh, that's funny because it's up on all of our screens.
Well, it's not on the Zoom screen. It is
How about-
on the,
How
now
about
I
you,
switched
Susan?
over to, I see what the problem is. Never mind.
Okay.
You guys have things all different than what I usually run it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, good morning, and again, I'm glad to be here, and so grateful for the opportunity to speak and to share with everyone here. And for anyone watching on Zoom, Ron, or anyone else that watches in the future on YouTube, we all want to welcome you to the Fellowship of Spirit in Farmington, New Mexico, and to let you know that you have a home here and that you're welcome, and we would love to see you drop in one of these Sundays. I'm amazed that we're here together and that we have this existence, that we're alive and that we're kicking. You know, and sometimes I think about that and I feel a sense of awe and wonder at the fact that I'm alive, you know. Neil deGrasse Tyson, a famous astronomer, has done some crunching of the numbers. And according to him, that when you take into account all of the possible combinations of DNA that could possibly exist, along with all the stars and solar systems and galaxies that we know of that would create a context for life, the odds of us being here in this moment are like less than 1 in a trillion, gazillion, quadrillion, some number that's just so stupendous that there aren't even words to express that. And so we have the privilege of being here, and it is amazing, and it's marvelous. And I'm almost tempted to call it a miracle, but it's not. And I say that not because I don't believe in miracles, and not because I don't appreciate the fact that we're here together, but the miracle is not in what has happened. It's in our appreciation of it in the context of truth. And I would like to speak to you about miracles today, and to share with you a miracle that happened in my life when I was 18 years old. And so there I was. It was about 6 a.m. in the fall in the hills of Tennessee, and I was hitchhiking. There wasn't a town for miles away, and there were no houses. It was just mountains and a road weaving through the mountains. And I had been on the road for about 4 days at that point, and I was hitchhiking from Los Angeles. And I had gone to Los Angeles with a guitar and a hope and a dream that I was going to become a rock star. And it didn't turn out that way for me. I wound up homeless, and I wound up addicted, and I wound up very demoralized, and I knew that I had to leave. And so I set out from LA, and I was going to hitchhike back to my home in Tampa Bay, Florida. And on the way there, it was a rough ride. In Texas, as I got to El Paso, I was victimized. And then later on, as I approached Houston and in that area, all of my property was stolen, and I hadn't eaten in days, and I was hungry and I was weary. And by the time I got to Tennessee, I started feeling like I was getting sick, like I was coming down with something. I could feel that some swelling in my throat, and I felt feverish, and I was just at my ends rope, and I felt like I couldn't walk another step. And as I was on that road, I stopped and I put my hands on my knees and I said, I'm hungry and I'm tired. God, please help me. And I came up in an evangelical Christian home. And so that was my go-to, was to call out to God for help when things got so bad that it looked like I couldn't make it any further. And so I walked a few more feet and I suddenly, and this might be too much information, but I suddenly had to go number one, you know? And I didn't want to do that on that street, or that road. And so I walked about 15 minutes, or 15 feet in the woods. And as I was there, I looked and I saw on the ground next to me, there was a extra large, brand new sleeping bag still in the wrapper. And laying on top of that sleeping bag was 2 extra-sized jumbo Snickers bars. Okay, and Snickers bars were my favorite, and they still are, and you can ask my wife and my kids. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, there was nobody out there. It was as though someone had driven out there after going to the store, walked into the woods and dropped this off, put the Snickers bars there, and just left. And I couldn't believe it. I cried out and I said, hey, is anybody there? And I did it about 4 or 5 times, and I realized that there was no one there. It was just me and the Snickers bars and the sleeping bag. And I couldn't believe it, you know. I was amazed and I was in awe of what had just happened. And I unrolled the sleeping bag and I grabbed a Snickers bar and I ate it and I went to sleep. And I slept better than I had in a long time. And when I woke up, I was still there. I was still in the sleeping bag, and there was 1 Snicker bar left, and I ate it. And you know, in my life, I had a lot to go through after that. I had a lot of pain that I had to go through till I finally gained some insight into how I needed the changes that I needed to make in my life, and it was a process. But one thing that stuck with me throughout that time, through the many times that I almost gave up, is the idea that there was a God somewhere that loved me and knew who I was and cared for me. And, you know, that stayed with me and it carried me through all those times. And in retrospect, you know, I had believed that that was a miracle, what had happened to me, but it was not. The miracle was not the sleeping bag or the Snickers or any of the things that happened that day that made such an impact on my life. It was the idea and the change in my perception from recognizing that there's a principle that cares about me and loves me and that I had worth. So with that in mind, I have 3 principles or 3 truths that I'd like to share with you today about miracles and about living the miracle. And it's nothing new, it's more of a reminder. I'm almost preaching to the choir in a way on these 3 points, but they're worth repeating and they're worth being reminded of. And the first one is this, is that God loves you and that God cares for you and that God knows who you are. And that's a pretty bold statement when you think about it. It goes to the core of what each of us needs and longs for to experience in our life, in this human existence. We want to know that we have purpose and meaning and that we are cared for and that our lives matter. And it's also bold because I know from experience, and maybe some of you, that if someone steps to you and says, I love you, it can make you take a step back. It's a bold thing to say to someone. And we either tend to shut the door right away or we stay open to that. Sometimes we put up walls when love comes around at some level. And so, you know, I got stuck for a second here.
Three things. God loves us with the second.
I'm still on the first. And so, I got it. And one of the strengths of fundamentalism spirituality or religion, is that the idea of a personal God who lives somewhere, who loves and cares about us, is very appealing to us. On some level, we're able to relate to that, this idea of another person that loves us. And that satisfies the need of many, many people. And people are able to kind of ignore a lot of contradictions and things that don't make sense in doctrine, in theology, to accept the idea that someone loves them, that gives them purpose and meaning. And but we're not fundamentalists for the most part here. We know that God is love. We know that God is pure energy and spirit and transcends all ideas of personhood and labels, and we know that it's called anthropomorphism when we place upon God human characteristics that we know that God transcends. We may have believed in a God like that at some point, but many of us have matured in some way, and we see God in a much wider way. And I think about my kids, and there was a time when they believed in Santa Claus. And it was a magical time because they believed there was a person somewhere that knew who they were and that knows when they're sleeping and knows when they're awake and if they've been bad or good. And they also knew that despite whether they were bad or good on any particular day, that Santa was going to come and give them gifts because on some level Santa cared for them. And as they matured, they saw that the spirit of Christmas was more of a principle of kindness and love and generosity and love and family and warmth. And the truth of the matter is the idea of Santa was never quite a lie on one level, because Santa stood for two very real people who loved and cared for their children so much, more than their own selves, their mother and father. And I just wanted to say that in the same way, Spirit is toward us. That no matter whether we're thinking of God as a person that's confined in a location somewhere in outer space, or whether we put labels on God, that God is so big and vast that God is unable to relate to us as a person, that both are limitations. That the truth of the matter is that God loves us and cares for us and knows who we are and is there to help us and to help us grow and to help us get through this journey called life. And so that means that when I feel alone and I feel lost, that God understands, that Spirit knows who I am and knows what I'm going through. And that means when I don't know where to go, that there is guidance available for me at some level from Spirit, who knows me and understands what I'm going through. And so my challenge on this point for everyone is to remind ourselves daily and stay mindful of the fact that that Spirit loves us and that Spirit is intimately involved in who we are and what our concerns and our care is for. And I believe that's possible, despite the fact of how big and how vast and how transcendent God is in our lives. And the second principle that I wanted to talk about is one that I know for a fact I'm preaching to the choir on this one, and that's that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the idea that we get our needs met through God and that we're human and that we need them, that we experience feelings of limitation and smallness, that's pretty obvious. But there's another truth that's not quite as obvious. It's not apparent, and that's that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It's hidden. And our brains are so limited that it's hard to really articulate in human words what that looks like. When we try to, it winds up sounding like some wild conspiracy theory. Specifically, when we were born, we are indoctrinated and programmed to believe we were someone we are not. And when we came into this world as infants, we quickly recognize that there's a difference between what we perceive to be ourselves and what we see outside of ourselves. Our bodies occupied less than a cubic foot of space, and our needs had to be met through something outside of ourselves, whether our hunger or to be held and things like that. And our consciousness was located, or it seemed to be, within our bodies, and that there is self and other and concepts like that. And we quickly learned that that we were limited, and that we were vulnerable, and that we needed something outside of ourselves to help us and to help us survive. And that lesson was reinforced in our young years, and at some point we realized that at some point we surely are going to die, and that this existence would stop. And that message was reinforced through school and society and so many messaging on media, especially today. And we were given a name, a race, an ethnicity, a gender. We were given an identity, and the identity you were given does not even compare to the one to who we truly are and the greatness that we truly are. The truth of the matter is that the space right now that we perceive between each other is an illusion, and that just as my body, when you get right down to the elements of it, I am made of pure energy, just as you are, Jerry, and the distance that separates us is an illusion. That also is filled with spirit, and that this is temporary and all will pass. And knowing this and internalizing this truth and practicing this truth in my daily practice and in your daily practice will help us realize some truths about ourselves that will empower us as we make our decisions and we live our lives. That we don't need to make those decisions from the smallness of our humanity always, but we can make them with a true knowledge of who we are. And when we do that, you will realize more and more that there is no one on the face of this earth who is greater than you. And there is no one who deserves connection and love more than you do. And that there is no one who has more of a right to experience happiness and love and abundance and success than you do. And as we realize this more and more and implement it in our lives and practice a mindfulness of this, we will realize that we are living the miracle. Because the miracle is not in the truth that these things exist. The miracle is our correction of perception and integrating that in our lives. And so I challenge you in your daily practice, whatever that looks like, to remain mindful, not only of the fact that God loves you and that God is present for you, despite the limitations we experience in this body, but that who you truly are is vast. I've heard it said, and you probably have, that we come from source and we return to source, but I don't think that's quite complete. I think it's fair to say that you are source as well. And the knowledge of that can give us a boldness and an empowerment to live our best lives, to make decisions that are aligned with who we truly are. And the third principle that I wanted to share with you is that your purpose is to reflect the love of God. Our humanity and our need for God and recognizing that is one thing. And then we come to realize and experience the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience that empowers us to live our best lives. And when we realize that our true calling is to serve other people and love them, we develop a passion for helping others and loving others, because we realize that it's not all about us and that we want to help others live their best lives as well. And so what does that look like? How do we love other people, and in what ways can we be of service? And I'm a big believer that the answer to that question looks different for everyone, and that it's a discovery process, and we need to learn that through through our prayer and our meditation, practicing mindfulness. But one thing I know for sure about love is that it requires courage. And it requires courage because courage is what will enable us to press through fear and to experience some discomfort at loving other people and practicing love and giving of ourselves. Because the default kind of mindset that has been given to us by this world is fearful of practicing love. If I love, I might get hurt. If I give, I might not have enough for myself. And if I dedicate myself to serving my community, then I might not have any me time left. And I would encourage anyone who is confused or fearful about love and loving others and dedicating themselves to a life of service, that we pray. And we ask Spirit and say, how can I be of service? And how can I love others in a way that will reflect the love of God? And I know for a fact that Spirit will provide an opportunity and remind us that here is your answer and here is how to be of service. And as we do that, and as we awaken to that and get in a groove of knowing where we fit in and how we can love others and be of service and expand the miracle and live the miracle and help other people see the miracle in their lives, we will know that we too are living the miracle. One thing about loving others is that I wanted to touch on is that the way we serve and the way we love and the acts of kindness that we show toward others, there's no big or small when it comes to that. It's like the Course says that there is no order in the importance of miracles. It's all the same. And we never know what the results of our acts of kindness or love can result in. Last week I was at Fly High Trampoline Park with my family, and we were there for a couple hours, and my kids met some friends, and I got myself a pair of the socks that you were required to have to go out on the trampolines, and I was bouncing around, and I got in a good groove, and I was having a great time. I didn't do any flips, but I was having a good time, and I was right on this trampoline next to this, what I call the pit. And it's this huge kind of, it's like raised in the middle and it's made of plastic, and you jump into it and you go down. And then the struggle is to get back out of there. And around the edges, it's especially difficult. And I know from experience because I fell in there before and was unable to get out. And my wife and my two kids were 15 feet away laughing at me for a good hour, it seemed like. And so I was jumping there, and I noticed out of the corner of my eye, a teenage girl jumped in and she fell into that corner. And my immediate reaction was to go ask her if she needed help, if she was okay. But I hesitated. And I know why I hesitated, because I have two boys. And if I see a stranger talking to them in public, I'm going to be watching very closely, and I might even walk over there and see why, you know. And so I was afraid. I was afraid to show an act of kindness because of fear of what that would look like in the eyes of other parents, or, you know, whatever. And so, but I did. I walked over there and I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And she said, "No." I said, "Do you want a hand out of there? Do you need help?" And she said, "Yes." So I bent over and I reached out my hand and I helped her get out of there. And I went back to jumping. And I started thinking about it, and it came to me that, you know, you never know the smallest little thing that we do to help somebody on some level can change their lives, you know. Who knows down the road, the memory that someone, a stranger, helped her could help her it could be a difference between going right or left in a path in life, knowing that love exists, love is real, that people are kind, and that Spirit is real. And so with that in mind, I just encourage us all to be willing to be vulnerable and to push through fear into love, no matter what fears we may have surrounding that. And I believe that as we do, we will grow in ourselves and in living the miracle. And it's kind of like, the way I look at it is like the parable of the sower that Jesus talked about. He said a farmer went out and planted seed, and some of it fell on rocky ground and it never sprouted. And he also threw some among thorns and thistles, and it came up, but it got choked. And he later interpreted that to mean that the cares and the anxieties of the world prevented it from growing to where it was supposed to be. And so it did not bear fruit either. But some of the seed fell on good ground, and it grew and it bore fruit 30 and 60 and 100 times, what was expected. And in the same way, our job is to just love and not focus so much on the results of that, and put that in the hands of Spirit, and Spirit will take care of that. And when I say that, right now I'm looking in this room, and the room does not look full. But I know that this room is full of love. And I know that right now in Farmington or in this area, there are people who are looking for us. There are people who want to experience what it's like to have love and connection, and to have people speak truth in their lives that will give them some relief from suffering. And there are people who would be glad to come here and be part of this awesome community that we have here. And so it's good that we are updating a website, and it's good that we might do some Facebook marketing. And I just want to say that it's also going to be a great thing when we go out and find those people in person, face to face, and invite them here. And we meet some need that they have, and maybe that's a picnic at a bounce house. Maybe that's an event for people who are suffering from addiction, and we present a solution for them. Whatever it is, it's going to take some action on our part to intentionally love those people and find them and let them know that we are here. And we leave the results in the hands of Spirit. But I will predict that if we do that, we will see these seats fill, and that we will have the privilege of meeting other people in our lives we can connect with, and know that we've had a role in helping them reach the person that they are supposed to be. And so I want to thank you again for allowing me to be here and to speak and to share this with you. And for all those who are at home or watch this video in the future on YouTube or some social media, we want you to know that you're welcome here and that you have a home here at Fellowship of Spirit in Farmington, New Mexico. And thanks so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Don, very much. We appreciate your thoughts, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Yes.
You want to give me the microphone back?
Oh, yes.
Not that I particularly want it, but I would love it.
Clip.
Thank you, sir. I have trouble with that. And thank you again. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share with Don concerning his talk today? I personally
Yes.
love the fact that we have amongst us people that we are connected to, like you said, energetically, but also like-minded, because I love the fact that I feel supported here, I feel loved here, I feel encouraged here. When I go out of here, I take my cup with me and it's overfull, it is overflowing. And I think that that is probably the thing that means the most to me. And I look forward to having more people here like us. And who was online, wanted to say something?
Yes, Jerry, I would very much like to just say thank you for being there, because I don't have any other way to interact with people of like mind on a regular basis. So to me, this is really a blessing. So I want to thank you for being there, for Dawn for talking, just for everything that you guys do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we have a song from Margaret. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say?
I guess we still have this on.
Yes.
Yeah, Don, thanks a lot for coming up and talking. I know it took a little getting out of your comfort zone, but you sure look comfortable up here. And we appreciate what you're bringing to us and looking forward to us carrying that spirit that you're talking about to reach out to our local community and our online community that we will develop with your help. And thank you so much for bringing your lovely family here and joining us. Namaste.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, in your songbook, the Brown Songbook is number 144. Now are the showers of blessing. At this time, we'll do our celebration of abundance. If you will take your donation and place it over your heart and read off of the bulletin with me. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Through I am prosperous. Oh. You can change it. I wanted to put this up in front.
I know, but you gotta change the screen.
Okay. I thought we'd do the circle in front of that screen though. I'll just put this up. Why does it look backwards?
It's upside down.
Because it's upside down.
Doesn't matter. I don't even know if it is backwards, so I don't know, that might matter.
Actually, it's not. Because we tried this out. Is that long enough, Steve?
Yes,
Okay.
a person can always pause the video.
Huh?
A person can always pause the video and.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now we have our children. I told her. Guess I'll go tell her again. Good job. I think you broke my arm. That's okay. We have a large group of kids today. I'm really glad to see this.
We made stress bottles and thank you.
Does it work? Oh, good. You're not under stress.
Remember to say what you're reading out of, Evangelina.
Today we will be reading out of the children's material book, and we're reading The Miracle. Little lamb called God. Yes, Father, answered little lamb. One of your brothers is dreaming and needs your help. In the dream he has forgotten his perfection, which I gave him. Sleep, little lamb, and dream. Go into the dream and help your brother. And in the dream, little lamb opened his eyes. Long shadows covered the forest floor. Little lamb could hear someone crying. Oh, oh, my leg is broken. It hurts so much. Lying on the mossy ground was a spotted deer. Her eyes were closed with pain, and her back leg was bent oddly. Little lamb walked over to the deer quickly. Scurrying around her was a little mouse. Oh my, the mouse kept saying. Miss Deer is too much big for a little mouse like me to move. Oh my, how can I help her? Owl sat on a branch overhead moaning. No one can help her now. It is the end for her. If she can't run, she will never be able to protect herself or find food to eat. No one can help her now. And with that, the deer cried more loudly, for she was frightened and in pain. Little lamb looked down at the deer and smiled gently. I know who can help you, Miss Deer. If you will listen and believe, your leg will be healed. The deer looked up with hope in her eyes. I will listen, little lamb. I want to believe.
Gather round, mouse and owl, called little lamb. Your sister needs all our help. Together with our father, we will heal her leg. Mouse and owl slowly came forward and sat next to Miss Deer. They all sat very quietly as little lamb spoke. God, our Father, is love. He can only create loving things, and he created you. God, our Father, is perfect. He can create only perfect things, and he created you. Do you believe that our Father is perfect and loving and creates only perfect and loving things? Asked little lamb. Mouse felt God's kiss in the warmth of the sun and said, yes, I believe. Owl listened to God's song in the sound of buzzing insects. And yes, I believe. Miss Deer looked at other animals and saw them each glowing with God's love and said, yes, I do believe. As they all sat feeling each other's love and perfection, the mist of the dream began to clear, and they could see where they really were. Here was God's perfect world. They had never left it, and for holy instants, little lamb, Miss Deer, mouse, and owl were awake again in the peace and perfection of their Father's world. But an instant doesn't last, and when they looked again, they were back in the dream. But something wonderful had happened. Look, look, exclaimed Miss Deer. My leg is healed. It doesn't hurt anymore. I can even walk on it. And as the other animals watched, Miss Deer rose up on her leg and began to dance about merrily. It's a miracle, said Mouse. How is this possible? Asked Owl. Little Lamb smiled. Truly, through God's love, anything is possible. We saw ourselves loving and perfect as our Father made us, and so God gave us a gift of a miracle, so we may remember his love and our perfection. The breeze gently ruffled Little Lamb's wool. As Little Lamb opened his eyes, he saw that he was awake and in his Father's world once more. You have done well today, my son, said Father's voice within his heart. Today, for a holy instant, your brother awoke from their dream and felt the love which I always have for them. And through that, love was the gift of a miracle given.
very much in line with what our talk was about today. I love it.
Very good.
Synchronicity.
I am just going to brag on Stephanie for a minute. She does go out of her way to try to find readings that match with what's going on in here every Sunday.
She does a wonderful job. Loved it. Thanks. I guess we will gather up for our.
Announcements and closing prayers.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill's coming with a closing prayer.
Now, any announcements?
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do have an announcement. I remembered to book the park for our summer solstice on Friday the 20th at Kiwanis Park on 30th Street, the Henry shelter. And so Friday, June 20th is when our summer solstice will be, and there'll be more information coming. But we do this every year, and it's worked out beautiful. Last year, we got rained out. I remember now, we didn't get to have it last year, but we have done it every year in the past. So, welcome, Bill.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about needing help. Everyone needs help from everyone. Bertolt Brecht. Needing help doesn't mean we're helpless. It means we're human. We can graciously ask and receive help. When we're on the receiving end, we learn invaluable lessons about how we can treat others when we're helping them. We can be more sensitive to how they feel when they admit that they need help, letting them know that we've been there. We build a bridge of the relationship, empathy, and encouragement. That's the greatest help of all, the knowledge that we are not alone. The walkaway is, I am not meant to live a life as an island. I need help sometimes. At other times, I'm in a position where I can give help. I will do both with grateful connection. That's what we're here for, folks. Lend a helping hand. Don't be afraid to extend your hand and be helped. God bless and have a great week.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. Now we circle up.
Now a circle.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Weave us together, in unity and love. Weave us together, in unity and yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
Lord be with you and bless you throughout the rest of your week, and we will see you next week. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Bill. Name is Finley. Happy to meet you. I'm Bill. Hi, Levi. As in the jeans?